You know, when I chair such discussions, not very often, but I do sometimes, I usually consider myself more as a custodian of context rather than as a moderator of questions. Well, not with Deputy Prime Minister Qubad Talabani, whose political inheritance is storied and well known. His father was the first president of the Republic of Iraq after the American action. However, this inheritance matches his own intellectual and diplomatic rigor. And Deputy Prime Minister, is the third time that you're in Dēļfī, and it's also the third time we're on stage together. So I guess that we consider you more as a friend than a speaker. Friend of mine, friend of Simo, friend of Dēļfī's. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Vasily. Thank you, Simon. Thank you to the entire Dēļfī community that is always so gracious, such excellent hosts. And it's a pleasure to be with you, old friend, back on this stage again.
The pleasure is all ours. So we meet at a time when the Middle East is in the midst of, I would say, one of the most fluid and important reconfigurations in modern history. And you know that Kurdistan has long played a role of ensuring stability and order in the region. And my first question, if I may ask, is how do you envisage Kurdistan's posture in the modern mosaic, which is the Middle East?
It's a good question, and I'll try and keep my answer short because we've had to navigate this very fluid, very volatile region for thousands of years, and we've always managed to, in the end, make the right decisions. We are in a very unique position within Iraq, but also within the broader region. There is turmoil around us. There are threats. There are major challenges. But there are also great opportunities. And for us, we will remain as wise as we can be. We have our faults, and we've made our mistakes in the past. But we have an opportunity now to focus on what really matters, and that's Kurdistan, its stability, its prosperity, its economic development, and opportunities for our youth and for our population as a whole.
You know, you've cultivated a very strong and long-standing strategic relationship, I would say, with the Western allies, with the European Union, with the United States, both when it comes to military and counter-terrorism cooperation, but also when it comes to investments, economic partnerships, and I would say also political ideals. So, I mean, what are your top priorities for this relationship in the near future?
We valued our relationship with the United States, with the European Union, with the UK, with Western powers, with friendly countries such as Australia, but also we navigate our relationships with regional powers too. And I think this is, again, one of the advantages that we have is we are able to talk to everybody. We meet with everybody. We engage everybody, and we feel that dialogue and engagement is the only way we can actually survive and navigate these choppy waters. We have always been very open, very public, not shy about saying thank you to those that have helped us, and there have been many that have helped us over the years. We have this opportunity in Kurdistan because of what happened in 2003, and we've always been very thankful to the United States, to the coalition, to everybody that helped us be free of Saddam, be free of the tyranny and the dictatorship. And we value the sacrifices that have been made, and we appreciate the investments that have been made. So I feel that the time is right now, as Iraq has begun to stabilize, as Kurdistan continues to remain a stable, thriving, potential economic, prosperous region in the Middle East, that it's time to do business. And the international community, our European partners, our American friends, should look at the opportunities available in Kurdistan. And just being here in Dēļfī, it reminds me that, you know, the world is not just about oil and gas. There is so much more potential, and especially in Kurdistan, for investments in key areas such as agriculture, such as agro-tourism, industrial development, agro-industries, tourism as a whole. These are the areas that we look to expand on in Kurdistan. This is what really separates Kurdistan, in my opinion, from the rest of Iraq. And again, just being here in beautiful Dēļfī is an inspiration and inspires us to look at how Greece has really managed its various sectors and overcome its economic hardships and internal challenges and some external ones as well.
Yeah. You said some very important things. The first one being that you're thankful to the United States, and the second being that it's time to do business. And I believe that more than diplomacy is a lot about business. So what are your priorities with the new U.S. administration?
We obviously have very good relations with the United States. We've never been shy about saying that, and we always look to strengthen those relationships. But we have to marry up these opportunities with the interests of our public. Right now, we have a very young population, so we need to do more to create more jobs, to create more sustainable economic growth. Again, when we talk about Kurdistan's economy, everybody talks about oil, everybody talks about gas, but I keep trying to say we have so much more to offer than oil and gas. And again, we have a climate that is conducive and a society that is welcoming, hospitable society. So we look at rural development as a massive opportunity. Anyone that's been to Erbil can see that it has grown, that it has evolved, that the construction has reached a very impressive level. Sulaimania, the second largest city in the Kurdistan region, also is undergoing an economic boom with construction, with housing projects, with developments. But sustainable growth means going out to the rural areas. It means developing the districts, the sub-districts, and improving the economies of these areas. And this is where the best agricultural lands are. This is where many of the historical sites of Kurdistan are. This is where the touristic potential of Kurdistan really is. And that'll be our focus in the years ahead, to focus on rural economic development and provide more hope to our populations in the rural areas. And obviously we look to our friends and partners like the United States, like our European partners, to join us in this journey.
So I'll get back to oil and gas because it's important, but since you said that you have to offer more, and I know that for a fact because I've been both to Erbil and Sulaimania more than once, I believe that there's a more important battlefield, and this is the quest for talent, the quest for innovation, the quest for digitization. I know that you've been a proponent of these changes, so what are your priorities in harnessing this potential? And I'm sure you have a lot.
You know, I think Kurds are just generally entrepreneurial. We've always had to be. It's, you know, geography and history has forced us to be entrepreneurial by nature. We've had to, again, somehow get to point A, from A to B safely. And we've been able to. Now we are looking at the next generation of entrepreneurs. Before they were politicians. Now they're inventors. Now they're startups. Now they're young businesses. People with hopes, with dreams, with ambitions. And we have to utilize the technology that's available today, learn from those that have done it well, know more about AI, know more about digitization. And actually, just last week, we had a very successful innovation and entrepreneurship forum in Sulaimania. We had many speakers from all over the world that came, that lent their expertise. And Slimania is really becoming the tech and entrepreneurial and innovation hub for all of Iraq. But I don't want to stop there. I want it to be the innovation hub for the entire region.
So I cannot resist the temptation to ask about oil and gas, because Iraq, is the second largest country, when it comes to oil reserves. But I feel that oil reserves is not the most important thing in the 21st century. I mean, sustainability and also integration into global supply chains is very much important. So my question is, how, Iraq and Kurdistan, which is full of gas, especially Suleimania, you have 30% of Iraq's gas, plans to exploit the untapped potential in this area, and how you can manage, resources sovereignty with international cooperation.
So oil is going to run out one day, and oil makes countries lazy. There's no doubt about it. I think I mentioned last time on the stage that they used to call it Dutch disease, but now it's Kurdish disease. It's no longer called the Dutch disease. So thankfully, we have been able to now shift our priorities. You talked about gas. Gas is an enormous potential for Kurdistan. And I know when we talk about gas in Europe, everyone gets excited and thinks, oh, there may be an alternative to Russian gas. No, Kurdish gas will not be an alternative to Russia's gas. Kurdish gas will be used to power Kurdistan, to create cleaner energy for Kurdistan, to supply industry in Kurdistan with cleaner energy, with a cleaner fuel source. There is so much we need to do for Iraq and Kurdistan with our gas before we start thinking and talking about exports. So for us, the priority, again, it comes back to this is a natural resource and this is a national resource, and it has to go to our public, and the basic needs of our public right now are still the basic services of water, electricity, and basic initial services.
Thank you. So let's get back, to Kurdistan. You've been a proponent of women empowerment, which is something we're not seeing very often in the Middle East. So I guess that you're pioneering something very much important. And if I may ask, how society changes in Kurdistan because of your policy reforms?
Look, I was lucky. I was raised in a family where, there was equality in my household. So I grew up where women and men had equal say and equal rights in the house. So I've always believed that, a country cannot be successful if half of its population are not involved in leading it, whether it's in government, whether it's in business, whether it's in academia, whether it's in the society as a whole. Why not harness the power and the talent of half of your nation's people? So, and we've seen, and it's clear, and you read every report from every international organization, it tells you countries where they have more women in leadership have less wars and better economies. Institutions that have more women in leadership are stronger, more robust, more transparent. And that's what we want. Ultimately, we want a strong, robust, transparent society that is effective and efficient, and we can only do that by creating an environment where women can lead. And that, I'm not alone when I say this. There are many in the Kurdish leadership that believe this also.
But you're at the forefront, which is important. So, since we're discussing domestic Kurdistan issues, you're about to form a cabinet, right? And, forming a cabinet is not just a political action. It's, in my opinion, an existential pursuit. So if I may ask, how the formation of the new cabinet will improve Kurdistan's standing within the federation, which is Iraq, and also how will assist Kurdistan in projecting better outside of Iraq?
Well, we had a very successful election in Kurdistan with a very high turnout by our standards. It was more than 72, I think 72, 75%, which was a real message from our public that they believe in the process. The traditional two strong parties, the KDP and the PUK, got the majority of the votes, which gives them now the mandate, it gives us the mandate to form a government and govern effectively. Forming coalition governments is never easy. Maybe in the past it was easier because the topic was always about who gets what position. You take this ministry, I take this ministry. This time we're doing it differently. We want to overcome the mistakes of previous years and agree on a framework on how Kurdistan should be governed, not necessarily who governs Kurdistan. We're very close. We're very close to an agreement on a document that outlines the vision for how the region should be governed. And we're at the point now where we can start talking about what the government looks like. And we hope to have a new cabinet, because Kurdistan, in this time, with all this regional turmoil, with all of these uncertainties, whether it's Syria, whether it's US-Iran relations, whether it's what's happening in Iraq itself, which has elections, by the way, in November of this year. With all this going on, we need a government that is strong, that has the mandate of the society, that can plan, execute, and serve the people.
You know, how to govern a country, there's a discussion going on, I guess, in every country in Europe, Greece included. And since we're talking about this, about the applications of governance, you've introduced digital governance in Kurdistan. We did also in Greece, some years ago, not a lot, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So, and I know that you were a pioneer also in this field.
Thank you. Look, the biggest challenge facing Iraq today is governance. People think it's security, people think it's the economy, people tend to look at things always at this very geostrategic and geopolitical lens. But at the end of the day, governments must govern, not rule. There's a difference between governing and ruling. And too many governments in our part of the world rule their people, not govern them. And that's why I've always believed that improving governance has to be the number one priority of any government. And that's the number one issue in Baghdad today. It's not security, it's not the militias, it's not the international issues, it's not the neighbors. The biggest challenge facing Iraq today is good governance. And the same applies to Kurdistan. And good governance for Kurdistan means effective government, which means transparency, which means speed of delivery of service, which means effectiveness in the delivery of service. And digitizing government is, in my opinion, essential to providing better services. Faster services, more transparent services, and a more responsive government with our population, which is why I've advocated and led over the last 10 years a very robust initiative to transform our style of government, to move away from an overly bureaucratic system relying on paper and relying on ledgers to a more digital government, which also can interact better with the private sector, interact better with the international community, but also bring our youth into governance, because we have a very young population which is very digitally friendly.
Yeah, of course. We discussed your relationship with the Western allies, but we didn't discuss anything about Greece. You're in Greece. You met the foreign minister, you met the energy minister, you met many other ministers. You're meeting the deputy prime minister tomorrow. I mean, what are your priorities regarding your relationship with Greece?
We have a lot to learn from Greece, and we have a lot in common with Greece. And we've seen a lot of progress bilaterally over the last few years. And I really do place some of that progress, if not most of that progress, to this forum, because it's been in this forum that we've been able to bring our ministers. We have our planning minister with us. We have the deputy foreign affairs minister of Kurdistan here with us. We have numerous advisors that have come, and in the past we've brought other ministers from other ministries, and they have been able to interact with their counterparts, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in tourism, whether it's in energy. We talked about waste management today. We had a fantastic meeting with the foreign minister today, and looking forward to our subsequent meetings. But a few years back, I came here trying to advocate for flights between Athens and Kurdistan, and now thankfully we have direct flights between Athens and the Kurdistan region. So this now will open a whole set of possibilities for trade, for tourism, for agricultural development, for academic exchanges, for for Kurds to come and visit Greece, and also for Greeks to come and visit,
of course,
Kurdistan. So I think we look at what you do really well. You do tourism really well. Agriculture and agrotourism is something that you really fine-tuned, and many of these strengths that you have also apply to Kurdistan. So we look forward to engaging your government more, but also interacting more with your think tanks, with international organizations, and with the people as a whole. And you have really good food here as well.
That's the most important. So I think that, I was thinking yesterday that in our age, most forums, not Simeon Delphi Forum, but most forums are limited to slogans, to very, very shallow conclusions. But I think that late May in Iraq, Suleimania, a meeting of seriousness and continuity will take place. Do you want to say something about it?
Absolutely. We're delighted, with Simon's approval, of course, to announce that we will be hosting the first Delphi Economic Forum in Suleimania in Kurdistan in
Simon, come with us.
May 18th, I believe, the 18th and 19th of May, which is another step towards stronger relations, better interconnectivity, better dialogue, more friendships, and more progress.
Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, it is a great honor that we're going to partner together for this important event in Suleimania. I had the opportunity and the pleasure and the honor to visit your country, both Erbil and Suleimania. It is a great place, and actually would like to try to help your vision for your society and try to bring investments, trying to develop the business. So we're going to be there in the middle of May. We have the great support of Madame Diamantopoulou, of Mr. Avramopoulos, of many friends around here. So we're looking forward to a great event on Sunday and Monday, the 16th and 17th of May. And the effort is not to make a Greek Kurdistan, conference, but an international conference, which eventually is going to grow every day. So we thank you very much for the confidence, for the trust, and thank you very much for being here with us these last 3 years.
No, we thank you and your leadership and your friendship for always inviting us, for always giving us a platform to be able to speak to not just Greeks, but the people that attend here, some old friends from my time in Washington that I see, and many new friends that we've made from your political, business and academic community. So we look forward to making Delphi proud by having an amazing event in Kurdistan.
Absolutely. Whoever is interested to join us.
You're all invited to Kurdistan late May.
You're all everybody's invited, by the way.
Absolutely.
I can assure you, good food.
Deputy Prime Minister, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you, Vasily. Thank you.
Perfect.